Welcome to Who's Wrong. If you're into messy stories, blurred morals, and moments that make you stop and ask, wait, who's actually wrong here? You're in the right place. Hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next story. Now let's get into it. Who's actually wrong here? My new neighbor keeps parking in my spot after I lent her a hand. So this just happened, and I'm still fuming. I don't even know where to begin. It's just so frustrating. Okay, so I bought this townhouse a few months ago. It's got a shared driveway situation, but each unit has its own designated parking space. Mine is clearly marked, like painted on the asphalt and everything. Super clear. No ambiguity. When I first moved in, everything was fine, no issues at all. Everyone respected the spaces. My neighbors seemed nice. We'd wave and exchange pleasantries. It was all good, you know. Then, about 3 weeks ago, a new neighbor moved in next door. Let's call her Karen. She seemed sweet enough at first. She was struggling to get some heavy boxes out of her moving truck, and I figured, hey, be a good neighbor, right? So I went over and offered to help. She was super grateful, said I was a lifesaver. We chatted for a bit while we moved her stuff. She seemed a little overwhelmed, like she didn't have much help with the move. I felt for her. I even offered her a cup of sugar later that week when she knocked on my door, saying she'd forgotten to buy some. Just being a normal, friendly neighbor. Trying to build a good relationship, you know. But then the parking started. The first time I came home from work and her car was in my spot. Not just touching the line, but fully in my spot. Like parked right in the middle of it. I was annoyed, but I figured it was an honest mistake. New place, maybe she was confused. I parked in a visitor spot, which is a bit of a walk, and decided to just mention it gently the next day. The next morning, I saw her leaving for work. I walked out and said, "Hey Karen, just a quick thing. I think you might have accidentally parked in my spot last night. Mine's the one with the 12B painted on it." I pointed to it. She blinked, kind of smiled awkwardly, and goes, "Oh, was that your spot? Oops, my bad. I'm still getting used to everything." She seemed embarrassed, and I thought, okay, problem solved. We had a laugh about it, except it wasn't solved. A few nights later, same thing. Her car right in my spot. Again. This time I was genuinely irritated. It wasn't a one-off mistake anymore. It felt deliberate, or at least incredibly thoughtless. I had to park in the visitor spot again. I didn't confront her that time. I was just too tired and didn't want to start an argument. I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt one more time. Maybe she just forgot. But then it happened a third time, and a fourth, and now it's pretty much every other day. I come home, and her beat-up sedan is sitting there mocking me. I've tried parking super close to the line of my spot, hoping she'd get the hint. She doesn't. She just squeezes her car in or ignores it completely and parks right over the middle. It's like she thinks it's an overflow spot for her. I've even started taking pictures, just in case. Because I have this sinking feeling this is going to escalate. Yesterday was the worst. I had a really long, stressful day at work. All I wanted to do was get home, park in my designated spot, and walk straight into my house. But no, there was Karen's car. Again. I went to her door, I knocked. No answer. I knocked again, louder. Still nothing. I could hear music through the door, so I knew she was home. She was deliberately ignoring me. I was so mad. I ended up parking in the visitor spot, which is always full, so I had to park even further away on the street, which isn't technically allowed, and I risk getting a ticket. I feel like I've been too nice. Like my initial helpfulness has been taken advantage of. It's not a huge thing, not like she's stolen my car or anything, but it's a constant, daily disrespect. It's annoying, it's inconvenient, and it makes me feel like she thinks she can walk all over me. And the thing is, she has her own designated spot, right next to mine. She just chooses not to use it sometimes. Or she has guests over sometimes and has them park in my spot. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. I don't want to get property management involved yet. I feel like that's a nuclear option. But I'm running out of patience. I don't understand why she's doing this after I tried to be so friendly. It's making me regret ever offering her help with her boxes or the sugar. It's like being nice just encouraged her to take advantage. So what do you think? Am I just overreacting to a minor parking inconvenience, or is she being a completely disrespectful neighbor after I went out of my way to be nice? Commenter 1 said, "She's definitely taking advantage. You established a pattern of being a doormat by not being firm the first time it happened." Commenter 2 said, "Get property management involved now. This won't stop until there are consequences. Your parking spot is yours, period." Commenter 3 said, "You opened the door for her to walk all over you. Next time, be pleasant, but keep a professional distance. Now you have to be the bad guy. Am I wrong to cut off my friend after she refused to believe my sexual assault? So this just happened, and I'm reeling. Honestly, I don't even know if I'm making the right decision, but I feel like I have to. It's just unbearable." Okay, so Sarah, let's call her Sarah, has been my best friend since high school. Like we've been through everything together. Boyfriends, breakups, colleges, family drama, you name it. I always thought she was my rock, my person. A few months ago, something truly awful happened to me. I was sexually assaulted by a guy I had been on a few dates with, someone I thought I could trust. It was incredibly traumatic. I shut down for a while. I didn't tell anyone for weeks. I was just in a fog. Eventually, I knew I needed to talk to someone. And who else was I going to tell? Sarah. She was the one person I thought would understand, would hold me, would just be there for me. I trusted her with literally everything. So I called her. It took me a long time to even get the words out. My voice was shaking. I was crying. I told her what happened, every horrible detail, because I felt like I needed to be completely open with her. And her reaction, it wasn't what I expected. Not at all. There was this pause on the other end of the line, a long, uncomfortable pause. And then she goes, "Are you sure, sure it was assault? Because I mean, you did go willingly to his place." My heart just dropped into my stomach. I felt like I'd been punched. I tried to explain, tried to say that consent can be revoked, that it doesn't matter where I was. But she just kept pushing. She said things like, "Well, he seems like a nice guy, and maybe you just misunderstood what was happening." She even dared to say, "Are you sure you didn't just regret it later and are trying to make it into something bigger?" I was speechless. I just kept saying, "Sarah, I'm telling you, this is what happened." But she wouldn't back down, not one bit. It was like she had already decided in her head that I was either lying or exaggerating. She kept trying to rationalize his behavior, making excuses for him. Saying maybe he was drunk, maybe he thought I was okay with it. She focused entirely on him and not on me and what I was telling her I experienced. I ended up hanging up the phone, just crying uncontrollably. I felt so betrayed, so completely alone. The one person I thought would believe me didn't. She made me feel like I was crazy, like I was making it up, like I was somehow responsible. It's been a few weeks since that call. She's tried to reach out, sending texts like, "Hey, how are you doing?" or "thinking of you." But I just can't bring myself to respond. Every time I see her name, I just remember that conversation, that disbelief. I told her something so vulnerable, something that still haunts me, and she invalidated my entire experience. It wasn't just a disagreement. It felt like she attacked my truth. My other friends, when I eventually told them, were supportive. They believed me immediately. They were angry for me. They validated my feelings. And that just made Sarah's reaction sting even more. I know she's been my friend for a lifetime. I know we have so much history. But how can I stay friends with someone who refuses to believe me about something so fundamental, so violating, so life-altering? How can I ever trust her again after she basically called me a liar about my own trauma? Part of me feels guilty, like maybe I should try to make her understand, try to educate her. But another, much stronger part of me just wants to cut all ties. The thought of ever confiding in her again makes me sick. I feel like she took away the last shred of safety I felt after the assault, the safety of having my best friend in my corner. So, am I wrong for just wanting to completely cut her off and walk away from this friendship? Is it too extreme to ghost someone who doubted me during my worst moment? Commenter once said, absolutely not. She showed you who she is when it mattered most. Protect your peace. Commenter 2 said, it sucks to lose a friend, but someone who dismisses your trauma like that isn't a true friend. You need support, not doubt. Commenter 3 said, you're not wrong, but maybe just tell her why you're distancing yourself instead of ghosting. It might give you closure. Am I the jerk for telling my sister her boyfriend can't stay after what he did to my cat? Hear what happened, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to catch flack for this, but I don't know. I can't let it go. Okay, so my sister Chloe is staying with me right now. She's between apartments and needed a place to crash for a couple of weeks, maybe a month. I said, sure, no problem, you're my sister. I love her, honestly. I have a cat, Mittens. She's an old lady, almost 12. She's always been a bit skittish, especially around new people. She mostly keeps to herself, hangs out in my room, comes out for food and cuddles on her terms. She's never been aggressive, never. Just a shy little thing. Chloe has a new boyfriend, Mark. She's really into him. They've been together for about 5 months now. He's been over a few times since she moved in. My rule, which I told Chloe up front, was no overnight guests every night. Like a couple of times a week is fine, but not constantly. I need my space, and I don't want a full-time third person living here. Last night, Mark was over. They were watching a movie in the living room. I was in my room, just chilling, reading a book. Mittens was curled up on my bed, purring. All was quiet. Then I heard this sudden, loud yelp from Mittens. It wasn't just a meow. It was a cry of pain. I jumped up, heart pounding, and ran out to the living room. Chloe and Mark were sitting on the couch, and Mittens was scrambling under the coffee table, looking terrified, tail tucked between her legs. I looked at Chloe, and she looked uncomfortable. I looked at Mark, and he just had this smirk on his face. Not even sorry, I asked. What happened? What did you do? Chloe mumbled something about Mittens getting too close. But Mark, he just straight up goes, oh, the cat was rubbing against my leg, so I just kinda nudged her away with my foot. Nudged her away. My cat, who was yelping in pain, cowering, that wasn't a nudge. That was a kick. I don't care how he frames it. Mittens is tiny, maybe 7 pounds. He's a big guy, probably 200 pounds. A nudge from him would easily hurt her. I knelt down and coaxed Mittens out. She was shaking. I checked her over, gently feeling her body. She flinched when I touched her side, right where she would have taken a casual nudge from a boot. I was so worried she was injured. I stood up, and I was shaking with anger. You kicked my cat, I asked, my voice barely steady. Mark just shrugged. She was annoying me. It's just a cat. That's when I snapped. No, it's not just a cat. She's my family. You don't get to kick her in my house. Chloe tried to intervene. Babe, it was an accident. He didn't mean to really hurt her. I cut her off. An accident. He admitted he nudged her because she was annoying him. That's not an accident. That's being a cruel jerk. And then I looked at Mark. My voice was cold. You need to leave, and you're not welcome back here. Not while Chloe is staying here, not ever. Mark actually laughed. Seriously. Over a cat. Yes, seriously, I said, pointing to the door. Get out. Chloe started arguing with me, saying I was overreacting, that it was a misunderstanding, that I was being unfair to Mark. She even said I was putting an animal before her happiness, but I refused to back down. I just kept repeating, he hurt my cat. He's not welcome here. Mark eventually left, kind of sneering at me on his way out. Chloe was furious. She went into my guest bedroom, slammed the door, and hasn't really spoken to me much since. I took Mittens to the vet this morning. Thankfully, no broken bones, but she has some bruising and is definitely traumatized. The vet gave her some pain meds and told me to keep a close eye on her. Now Chloe is giving me the silent treatment, and I know she's probably telling Mark how unreasonable I am. She probably thinks I'm a crazy cat lady. But I feel like I'm completely justified. My cat is a living creature, and Mark intentionally hurt her, even if he downplays it, and his attitude about it was just sickening. My house, my rules, especially when it comes to the safety of my pet. Am I the jerk here for putting my foot down so hard and banning my sister's boyfriend from my house, potentially causing a huge rift with my sister, all because he nudged my cat? Commenter 1 said, "Your house, your rules, and anyone who hurts an animal intentionally is a monster. You did the right thing." Commenter 2 said, "Not a jerk. Your sister is enabling an abuser. Do not back down. Your cat is family." Commenter 3 said, "He nudged her so hard she yelped and got bruised. That's not a nudge, that's abuse. You are absolutely not in the wrong." I cut contact with my mom after she told my fiancé about my past as a sex worker. Am I wrong? I don't even know where to start with this, but I'm just broken and I feel so lost. Okay, so my mom, we've always had a complicated relationship. She's always been a bit judgmental and prone to oversharing, especially when she's trying to make herself look like the suffering parent in any situation. For a few years, when I was in my early 20s, I worked as a sex worker. It was a really tough time in my life. I was struggling financially. I felt like I had no other options, and I was just trying to survive. It's not something I'm proud of, but it's part of my past, and it shaped who I am. I've worked really hard to move past it, build a new life, and heal. Only a handful of people know about that period of my life. My therapist and my mom. I told my mom because I thought, she's my mother, she should know the truth about what I went through. I was vulnerable with her. I specifically asked her to keep it private. I stressed how important that was to me. She promised she would. Fast forward to now. I'm 30, engaged to an amazing man, David. He's kind, understanding, and I love him more than anything. We've been together for 3 years, and our wedding is in 6 months. I haven't told him about my past. It's not that I don't trust him. It's just something so deeply personal and painful, and I've been afraid to risk everything we have. I was planning on telling him before the wedding, when the time felt right, and I had worked through my own feelings more. A few weeks ago, David and I were at my parents' house for dinner. It was a typical family dinner, a bit tense as usual, but nothing out of the ordinary. My mom had been drinking a bit, which is another recurring issue. At some point, the conversation turned to finances and how hard it is for young people today. And my mom, totally out of nowhere, looks at David and goes, "Well, my daughter knows all about hard times, don't you, sweetie?" She had to do some really undesirable things to make ends meet back in the day. Really had to get her hands dirty. My blood ran cold. I knew exactly where she was going with this. She gave me this look, this "I'm just being honest" look, and then she continued. She worked online, you know, meeting men, very bravely dealing with some very difficult situations. She paused, taking a sip of wine, looking at David expectantly, like she had just dropped some profound truth bomb. David just sat there, completely stunned. His face went white. He looked from my mom to me and then back to my mom. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I couldn't breathe. I stood up from the table, practically shaking. "Mom, what are you doing?" I hissed. She just looked at me, pretending to be innocent. "What? I'm just telling David about your past, darling. He's going to be your husband. He deserves to know everything." I grabbed David's hand. "We need to go, now." He didn't resist. He just nodded, still speechless, and followed me out. We left immediately without another word to my parents. The ride home was silent, an agonizing silence. David didn't look at me, didn't say a word. When we got to our apartment, he just went straight to the bedroom and closed the door. We talked, or rather, I tried to talk for hours. He was hurt, confused, and felt betrayed that I hadn't told him. And I was just numb with shock and anger at my mom. I had to reveal everything, all the painful details, right then and there, because my mother decided to spill my deepest, most vulnerable secret. It's been a week, and David and I are trying to work through it, but it's hard. He's questioning everything, our entire relationship. He said he loves me and wants to work through it, but the trust is shaken. He's hurt that I specifically kept this from him. And my mom, she called me the next day claiming she was just being honest, that he had a right to know, and that I was overreacting. She feels no remorse. Zero. She genuinely believes she did the right thing. I told her I couldn't talk to her, that I was cutting off contact indefinitely. She started crying, calling me ungrateful, saying I was abandoning her. But I just can't. I can't look at her without remembering that moment, that betrayal. She blew up my life, not because she thought David needed to know for his sake, but because she wanted to control the narrative, to expose me, to make me squirm, or something equally twisted. Am I wrong for cutting off my mom after she deliberately revealed my deeply personal and private past as a sex worker to my fiancé, potentially jeopardizing my entire relationship, despite me explicitly asking her not to? Commenter 1 said, "Your mom is not trying to be honest. She's weaponizing your past against you. You are absolutely justified." Commenter 2 said, "No, absolutely not. This was a cruel, calculated betrayal. Protect yourself and your relationship from her toxicity." Commenter 3 said, "Your mother violated your trust in the worst way. It's not just about what she said, it's about how little she respects you. Cut her off." Secretly took a DNA test on my nephew. Now my brother won't speak to me. Am I the jerk? Okay, I know this sounds bad. I know it does. But hear me out before you jump to conclusions. This has been eating me alive. So my brother Mark has been married to his wife Carol for about 5 years now. They have a son, Leo, who's 3. Leo is adorable, bright-eyed, and just a joy to be around. I love him to bits, but here's the thing. From the moment Leo was born, something just felt off. He doesn't look anything like Mark, and I'm not talking about just a different hair color or something. Mark has really distinctive features. A strong nose, a very specific eye shape, and a birthmark on his earlobe that runs in our family. Leo has none of it, not a single trait. He looks exactly like Carol's ex-boyfriend. Exactly. The guy she left right before she met Mark. I know that guy. Our families used to hang out before Carol and Mark got together, and I saw him at a few events after their breakup too. Leo is basically a spitting image of that ex. I tried to tell myself it was just a coincidence. Genes skip generations, right? But the resemblance was uncanny. People in our extended family would often make comments, subtle ones like, "Wow, he really looks like his mom's side." Or, "He's all Carol, isn't he?" But never outwardly questioning paternity. This suspicion has been gnawing at me for 3 years. It wasn't just about the looks. There was this whole backstory. Carol and Mark had a really whirlwind romance. They got married super fast, within a year of meeting. And Leo was conceived very early in their marriage, almost immediately. I started thinking about the timelines. Carol left her ex, met Mark, got married, and then Leo was born 9 months later. It just felt too neat. Too fast, like a puzzle piece that didn't quite fit. I felt like Mark deserved to know the truth. He's my brother. He's a good man. He fully believes this child is his biological son, and he loves Leo unconditionally. He's such a devoted dad, and the thought of him being lied to, potentially for years, just ate at me. So I did something really unethical. I know. I took one of Leo's hairs from a brush when I was visiting them, and I sent it off for a private DNA test. I didn't tell anyone. I figured, if it came back that Mark was the father, I'd just bury this whole thing and never mention it again. I'd live with my guilt and the knowledge that I was wrong. But it didn't come back like that. The results came back. 0 probability of Mark being the father. 0. My heart sank. I felt a weird mix of validation and utter dread. Now I had this information, this huge, life-altering secret. I agonized over what to do. For days, weeks, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't focus. I knew I couldn't keep it from Mark. He deserved to know. He was investing his entire life, his love, his everything, into a child who wasn't biologically his, under false pretenses. So I sat Mark down. It was probably the hardest conversation I've ever had. I told him everything. How I'd had suspicions, how I did the DNA test, and what the results were. I even showed him the report. He just stared at it. His face went completely blank. Then he went through about 5 stages of grief right there in front of me. Disbelief, anger, denial, then this crushing sadness. He started yelling, not at me, but just in general, accusing Carol, and then he turned on me. "How could you do this?" he screamed. "How could you interfere like this? This is my life, my son. You had no right." He accused me of trying to blow up his family, of being jealous, of being a busybody. He said I had no right to play God with his life. He called me vile and manipulative. He stormed out, and that was a month ago. He hasn't spoken to me since. He won't answer my calls, my texts. Carol has blocked me on everything. I'm completely cut off from them and from Leo. His parents, my parents, are disgusted with me. They said I had no right, that I destroyed their family. They're saying it was never my place, and that even if it was true, it wasn't my secret to tell. I completely understand why they're angry. I broke a major boundary, but I truly believed I was doing the right thing for my brother. He deserves honesty. He deserves to know. He wouldn't have known otherwise. So, am I the jerk for secretly taking a DNA test on my nephew and revealing the results to my brother, which has now completely shattered his family and our relationship? Commenter 1 said, "Yes, you're the jerk, ultimately. It wasn't your place. You unleashed a storm that wasn't yours to control, even with good intentions." Commenter 2 said, "You didn't do this maliciously. Your brother has a right to know the truth about his child. His anger is misplaced. It should be at his wife." Commenter 3 said, "He got angry at you, the messenger, for telling him a horrible truth. He should be mad at Carol for the lie. You exposed a deep betrayal. I refused to help my suicidal ex after he lied about our baby's death. Am I wrong? I don't even know where to begin with this. It feels like my life is falling apart. I'm so numb, but also so angry and scared." Okay, so Mark, my ex. We broke up 2 years ago. It was a really messy, awful breakup. We were together for 5 years before that. We even had a baby together, a son. He died shortly after birth, premature. It was the most devastating thing that ever happened to me. I was completely shattered. Mark was too, or so I thought. We grieved together. Or I grieved and he watched. We shared that pain, that unimaginable loss. It was part of what ultimately broke us. We couldn't get past it. After we broke up, I went into intense therapy. I had to, just to process the trauma of losing my child. It took me a long time, but I finally started to heal. I started a new relationship a year ago with a truly wonderful man, David. We're building a new life together. A few months ago, I got a call from a distant cousin of Mark's, someone I barely knew. She was calling to offer condolences about my son. I was confused because I already grieved that, and she knew the baby had died 2 years ago. I asked what she meant. And that's when she said, "I know, it's so heartbreaking that he passed away. I can't believe Mark managed to keep him hidden from everyone for 2 years." My blood ran cold. "What are you talking about?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Our son died in the hospital." She paused. "No," she said slowly. "Mark told us he's alive. He's been living with him. He said he kept him from you because you were too unstable after the birth." My world shattered. My son was alive. Mark had lied to me. For 2 years, I remember screaming down the phone, then just going completely numb. I called Mark. He was hesitant, then denied everything, then finally, shamefaced, broke down and admitted it. Our son, Jacob, didn't die. He was born healthy. Mark had hidden him from me. He said he thought I was too broken to raise him. He said he did it to protect me, to protect our son from my grief. Said he panicked. Said a lot of things. Lies, all lies. I don't even remember the full conversation. It was a blur of rage and tears and disbelief. He had let me grieve for a child who was alive. He had stolen 2 years of motherhood from me. My son was alive, and I didn't know. I immediately went to the police. It's still an ongoing investigation. They're helping me get custody. I met Jacob. He's 2 years old. He's beautiful. He has my eyes. He's been living with Mark, thinking Mark is his only parent. The emotional fallout has been catastrophic. For me, for Mark, for Jacob. David has been incredible, trying to support me through this unimaginable nightmare. Now, fast forward to a few days ago. The police got involved more seriously. Mark is facing serious charges for parental abduction and fraud, among other things. He's lost his job. His family has disowned him. His life is completely falling apart. And then I got a call from Mark's mother. She was crying, hysterical. She said Mark had sent her a text saying he couldn't live with this anymore, that he was going to end his life. He was suicidal. He specifically told her, "Tell my name, it's her fault." She begged me to talk to him. Begged me to go to him, to try to calm him down, to convince him not to do anything drastic. She pleaded with me to explain to the police that he had no malicious intent, that he was just mentally unwell and made a mistake. I couldn't. I couldn't do it. I told her, through tears myself, that I couldn't help him, that he had shattered my life, stolen my child, and put me through 2 years of unimaginable grief, all based on a despicable lie. I said I had zero emotional capacity to deal with his mental state after everything he had done to me. I told her to call the police herself, to get them to do a welfare check, to get him help. But I wouldn't do it. I couldn't. I hung up. His mother is now furious with me. She's calling me heartless, cruel, saying I'm letting my hatred for him blind me to his suffering. She keeps repeating that I'm responsible if anything happens to him. My own friends are divided. Some say I owe him nothing, that he deserves whatever he gets. Others are saying that no matter what he did, a life is a life, and a suicidal person needs help. That I should have, at least, called the police for him instead of brushing off his mother. I feel like a monster. But then I remember Jacob, my son, and those 2 years of stolen time, and the grief I endured for a child who was alive, and my heart hardens again. How could I possibly help the man who did that to me? Am I wrong for refusing to help my suicidal ex, even after he specifically reached out and sent desperate messages, given that he lied to me for 2 years about our baby's death and actively hid our child from me? Commenter 1 said, "He manipulated you twice. He wants you to take responsibility for him, focus on your child and your own healing. You owe him nothing." Commenter 2 said, "Absolutely not wrong. Call the police for a welfare check, but your primary concern is yourself and your son. He created his own crisis." Commenter 3 said, "It's a tough situation, but your trauma is valid. You can't be expected to be his rescuer after what he put you through. He needs professional help, not yours." My best friend confessed to sabotaging my wedding, and I still talk to her. Am I the jerk? I don't even know what to think anymore. My head is just a mess. I feel so conflicted. Okay, so my wedding, it was 2 years ago. I thought it was perfect, everything I dreamed of. Or, well, mostly. There were a few things that went wrong, things that at the time just seemed like bad luck or mistakes. But now I know. My best friend, Clara, was my maid of honor. We've been inseparable since childhood. She's like a sister to me. She was there for all the planning, all the dress fittings, everything. Or so I thought. Looking back, there were some weird things. Like my wedding cake showed up with the wrong flavor for the top tier. I specifically ordered lemon, but it was chocolate. The caterer swore I'd confirmed chocolate. I was so confused, but figured I must have somehow messed up the final confirmation. Then, the florist. My bouquet had lilies in it, which I'm allergic to. I had explicitly told them no lilies, because I break out in hives. I only noticed right before I was about to walk down the aisle. My photographer had to go scramble to find a different flower, and I ended up walking down with a slightly wilted, thrown-together bouquet. They apologized profusely and said they had a note saying, "Lilies are okay." And the seating chart. My estranged uncle, who I specifically asked to be seated far away from my dad, ended up at the next table over, causing a huge scene during dinner. The venue coordinator had a printed chart that showed them close. I remember drafting it differently. At the time, I just blamed it on vendor mistakes, wedding stress, general chaos. It was annoying, but didn't ruin the day. I was still married to the love of my life, my husband Mark. Fast forward to last night. Clara and I were having our regular wine night. We were talking about something totally unrelated, just gossiping. And then, out of nowhere, completely unprompted, she gets really quiet. She takes a deep breath and says, "There's something I need to tell you, something that's been eating me alive for 2 years." My stomach dropped. I knew, or rather I felt, something bad was coming. She then confessed that she was the one who sabotaged all those things. She changed the cake order, switched the florist's notes to include lilies, and deliberately rearranged the seating chart to put my uncle near my dad. I just stared at her. My mouth was open. I couldn't form words. She started crying, saying she was sorry. She said she was going through a really dark time back then, feeling incredibly jealous that I was getting married and she was still single. She said she felt like I was leaving her behind. She said she just wanted to ruin one little thing because she was so bitter, but it escalated. She said she hated herself for it. I don't even know what I feel. Betrayed, disgusted, but also confused. Because the Clara I know now, the Clara who was sitting across from me, crying her eyes out and confessing, seemed genuinely remorseful. She really seemed to hate herself for what she did. Part of me wants to scream at her, throw her out, end our friendship right there. How could my best friend, my maid of honor, do something so malicious on my wedding day? On the most important day of my life. It feels like an ultimate betrayal. It feels like she actively tried to hurt me. But another part of me, the part that knows our 20 years of friendship, sees her genuine remorse. Sees her struggle. She's been in therapy. She's openly talked about her struggles with jealousy and self-worth. She's a different person now, or so I thought. My husband Mark, when I told him this morning, was furious. He said, "She sabotaged our wedding. How can you even look at her right now?" He thinks I should cut her off immediately. He says it's unforgivable, but I haven't. I just sat there in silence for a long time last night, and eventually she left. And today I feel like I can't just cut her off. It's 20 years, all our memories, all our history. It feels too big to just throw away. I know what she did was terrible, truly terrible, but she confessed. She came clean. Doesn't that count for something? Does that mean she deserves a second chance? Or am I just a fool? Am I the jerk for still talking to my best friend, or even considering forgiving her, after she confessed that she intentionally sabotaged parts of my wedding day out of jealousy? Commenter 1 said, "Yes, you're the jerk if you let this slide. She proved she's not your friend. She tried to ruin your wedding." Commenter 2 said, "Unforgivable. She actively tried to cause you stress and heartbreak on your wedding day. That's not a friend, that's an enemy. Protect yourself." Commenter 3 said, "It's complicated. Her confession and remorse mean something, but it doesn't erase the betrayal. Only you can decide if the friendship can be rebuilt." Am I the jerk for telling my stepdaughter she's not invited to my daughter's party after what she said? Okay, here's the situation, and I know this is going to sound harsh, but I'm truly torn. I feel like I'm doing the right thing for my daughter, but I also know it makes me look like the bad guy. So I have a daughter, Lily, who is 10. She's my world. She's a sweet, sensitive kid. My husband, Tom, has a daughter, Sarah, who is 13 from his previous marriage. Sarah lives with us full time. Sarah and Lily have always had an interesting relationship. Sarah is often a bit mean to Lily, making sarcastic comments, rolling her eyes, sometimes excluding her. We've tried to address it, but it's always just brushed off as normal sibling stuff or teenager attitude. Lily's 10th birthday is coming up, and she's super excited. We're having a small party at a local trampoline park with her closest friends. Very low-key, but a big deal for her. We're talking about 6 or 7 girls, all her age. Lily was talking about her guest list the other day, and she very clearly said, "I don't want Sarah there." My heart sank. I asked her why, and Lily, looking really hurt, goes, "Because Sarah always makes fun of me. She calls my friends babies, and she ruined my last birthday by telling everyone my new bike was cheap. She just makes me feel bad." Then she paused, looking at me with these big, sad eyes. "I just want to have fun with my friends, without Sarah making me feel silly or like I'm stupid." My immediate instinct was to protect my daughter. Lily deserves to feel safe and happy at her own party. She deserves to have one day where she doesn't have to deal with her stepsister's jabs. So I had a conversation with Sarah. I tried to be gentle. "Hey Sarah," I started, "about Lily's party coming up." Before I could even finish, she rolled her eyes and goes, the baby party. Are they going to be playing Pin the Tail on the Donkey still?" Classic Sarah. I took a deep breath. "Sarah, Lily has expressed that she wants her birthday to be just with her friends. She's having a small party, and she really wants it to be a special day for her and her age group only." Sarah scoffed. "So I'm not invited? Seriously, that's ridiculous. I live here." I tried to explain Lily's feelings, about how Lily felt like Sarah's comments were hurtful. I said something like, "Lily feels like sometimes your comments make her feel bad, and she just wants to have a day with her friends without that." And that's when Sarah said it. She looked me dead in the eye with this really cold expression and said, "Well, Lily is a baby, and her friends are babies, and it's true her bike was cheap." She even muttered, "And quite frankly, she's annoying." My jaw dropped. I was completely speechless. Not only did she confirm Lily's perception, but she went even further. She didn't show 1 ounce of remorse or understanding. She just doubled down on being mean. At that point, I just lost it. I told her, "Okay, Sarah, if that's how you truly feel, then no, you're not invited to the party. Lily deserves to have a birthday where she doesn't feel silly, stupid, or annoying, especially from someone in her own home." Sarah started screaming then, calling me unfair, saying I was favoring Lily, saying I'm a terrible stepmom. She ran to her room and slammed the door. My husband, Tom, came home shortly after. Sarah immediately ran to him, crying, telling him I banned her from the party. Tom listened to her, and then he listened to my side. He didn't say much. He looks really conflicted. He understands why I did it, but he obviously feels bad for Sarah. He's saying we should try to make Sarah apologize and then let her come. That it'll cause more family drama if she's excluded. But I feel like this is a breaking point. Lily is often pushed aside, and her feelings aren't always prioritized because Sarah is the older, more dramatic child. And Sarah just confirmed everything Lily thinks. She actively admits to being mean and doesn't care. I don't want my daughter to have to walk on eggshells at her own birthday party, worried about her stepsister's critical gaze. I want her to just be a kid and have fun. If Sarah can't be supportive, then she shouldn't be there. So, am I the jerk for telling my teenage stepdaughter she's not invited to my daughter's birthday party after she explicitly said hurtful things about my daughter and her friends, confirming my daughter's fears? Commenter 1 said, "Your stepdaughter is being cruel and you're protecting your child, not a jerk. Your husband needs to step up and address Sarah's behavior." Commenter 2 said, "While it might cause drama, sometimes hard boundaries are necessary. Your daughter's emotional well-being comes first on her birthday." Commenter 3 said, "Yes, a bit of a jerk. You're creating more division. You should have enforced an apology and a promise of good behavior, not a ban." Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video from us. We'll see you in the next one.